Hello and welcome to On the Agenda, a semi-monthly podcast by the City of Reno that quickly updates you on actions taken at the recent council meeting and checks in with various departments to keep you up to date with happenings within City Hall. I'm AJ from the City of Reno's communications team, and with me, as always, is Reno City Manager Jackie Bryants. Hello, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryants.
Good morning, AJ.
We are on the 8th episode now. Are you feeling good about this? Are you feeling like we have an award-winning podcast?
Well, I don't know about that, but we have a podcast.
We have what one council member described as great background noise.
We do
No,
have
they didn't
great
say
background noise. Something to do on your ride to work.
Exactly, yeah. So before we get into today's topic with our guests, we are going to look at a few action items that were taken at the June 11th council meeting, which is the last one now for, I believe, a month, because they're going to be on a break for a few weeks, correct? Is that
very precious 4 weeks?
So what were some things that happened at council?
So, two things I want to highlight. One is that council approved some sponsorship funds to help a variety of different special events get going, for one, the remainder of this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, and two, for next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. A couple of them that I'd like to point out are the Leprechaun Race, a Boneyard Blast, the Rock Reno Half Marathon, and the Reno Ecstatic Dance. There are over 35 that were supported through room tax funds, an amount not to exceed $299,000. The other thing that council did is they heard a presentation from Lance Ferrado, our business licensing director. And we talked about whether nonprofit organizations should register with the City of Reno. Currently, there's no registration requirements at all if you're a nonprofit, and sometimes that presents challenges, particularly around land use approvals, where we don't know that there's a nonprofit next door to a perhaps a dispensary that has submitted an application, and maybe it's a child care daycare or something like that, and we need to really know where these nonprofits are, what they're doing. And then we also provide a lot of services to nonprofits, and sometimes nonprofits don't pay a property tax or other taxes that pay for services such as police and fire. So that conversation kicked off. It will be another 6 to 9 months before anything comes back to council on it.
So if you are part of a nonprofit, you definitely want to pay attention to that. If you want to read more highlights, you can always do so on our website at reno.gov/news. During this week's meeting, council also heard a presentation on the conclusion, sine die, as they say, of the 83rd session of the Nevada Legislature. So joining us today is Government Affairs Manager Nic Ciccone to provide us a quick overview of the presentation. Hello, Nick. Welcome to On the Agenda.
Hi, AJ and Jackie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Is that what it is? Sine die? Is that how it's?
Nope.
No?
Sine die, and also it's
Sine die.
Listen. Wow, I just messed this all up. You know what? We're Instagram friends. I should have known this. Really, I should have. I'm so sorry, Nick. So since I've messed up your name and I'm just ruining this whole introduction for you, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for the city and what your title
Sure
means.
thing. So I'm the Government Affairs Manager for the City of Reno. I've been working for the city for about 4 years now, but as our Government Affairs Manager, I'm the main advocate or lobbyist down in Carson City. When we're looking at what kind of legislation is happening down there, what kind of legislation we proposed. We have council direction, we've got the strategic plan, and we've got our city council adopted legislative platform, so that directs kind of what I do. And I'd say a large part of my job is educational in nature. Many of the things that the legislature tackles impact cities, and not every single legislator has previously worked at a city or represented a city. So a lot of it is teaching them the ins and outs of working at a city and how that might impact Reno residents' lives.
So you definitely you have to get into all the bills. You have to know how they affect us in all kinds of ways, not just like, oh, hey, this is a cool law that we're doing. Like, how will it affect fiscal challenges and whatnot?
Yeah, I'd say with my job, I have to be a jack of all trades, which also means I'm a master of none. But thankfully, we've got a great team of bill reviewers that let me know how it'll impact, let's say, public works, if there was some kind of change to prevailing wage monitoring.
Well, that makes sense. So let's get into this. So why does the city devote time and staff to monitoring legislative sessions? Like, how does it support our priorities of public safety and housing?
So this session, there was 1,200 bills. We tracked about 500 as having some kind of impact to the city of Reno. Those can range from, like I said, changing how a department files paperwork with the state to allowing or authorizing cities to have more control or discretion at the local level to have those kind of conversations with their local community. In terms of strategic priorities, public safety, one of the things that we had worked on diligently throughout the interim and throughout the legislative session was Assembly Bill 102. We had gotten that sponsored by the Interim Health and Human Services Committee, and that was working with the Fire Chiefs Association as well. That bill allows Northern Nevada Public Health District Board of Health to take an affirmative vote to begin licensing EMS personnel. For background, Southern Nevada Health District, which represents Clark County, they have been doing that for decades. The rest of the state is serviced by one central state office, so the other 16 counties in our state are centrally located within the state. Having this additional authority or ability will allow us to have that conversation locally and hopefully speed up the process for licensing emergency medical services personnel.
So that's an interesting thing to go back real quick to. You have to pay attention to all the bills and stuff. So let's say there's a bill that's pushed for something that would help Vegas. You can be like, well, Reno's not Vegas, so that's kind of like what you're doing with all these bills, and you're kind of getting in there and being like, hey.
100%. And oftentimes you might see that a bill, or after working with sponsors, will be able to, what is referred to as population capping a bill, to say, hey, Reno and Washoe County and Sparks, we're a different community. We would prefer that they have that conversation down in Southern Nevada, and that the rest of the cities and counties in our state are not impacted by those kind of discussions.
Yeah, one of the things I think is important for people to understand is that the majority of your work during session is playing defense.
That's very correct.
It is not really about promoting what the city wants, but it's making sure that there aren't unintended consequences of someone else's bill trying to do something for a different community or a different priority, and you're there to make sure that we aren't negatively impacted.
And a great example of that would be another public safety bill, was Senate Bill 208. Initially, that bill was proposed. I had spoken with the senator, and he was looking to change the amount of money that could be left over in the enhanced 911 surcharge account to pay for capital improvements. This is something that's typically used for dispatch, but also for body cameras. The initial version of that bill would have taken away the city's ability to use that funding for body cameras, and that would have posed a substantial hit to our budget and to our ability to continue paying for those based on our existing contracts. We were able to negotiate and work with the bill sponsor to completely take out that provision so we can continue using that funding for body cameras.
Oh, wow. So you have a lot of things you have to keep in the back of your mind as you go into this, right? You have, like you said, fiscal responsibilities for the city, and then also you have council's direction to kind of go. So what did council direct you on for bills and priorities?
So going into session in August, council directed me to focus on affordable housing. They also adopt their legislative platform. That legislative platform includes things like the city will support legislation that allows for increased flexibility and discretion at the local level, but it also talks about making sure that we have alternative funding mechanisms to replenish the costs associated with city-subsidized affordable housing projects. What do we mean when we say that? The city of Reno waived about $12 million for affordable housing projects based on sewer connection fees as well as building permit fees. The governor's housing bill, one of our big wins or something I'm very proud of this session, included $25 million in that for local governments to waive those fees and to replenish the costs of having waived those fees.
Oh, wow.
We also were able, on the affordable housing front, to secure $5.25 million in rental assistance to keep people housed.
So Assembly Bill 475, you secured, $5.25 million for the city of Reno? But that wasn't the first time you were successful in getting rental assistance for Reno. Tell us about what happened in 2023.
Yeah, so last session, there was Assembly Bill 396, and that bill originally had just allocated money to Clark County for rental assistance to keep people housed in Clark County. I had worked with the bill sponsor and assembly members from up in Northern Nevada and had convinced them that there absolutely was a need in Northern Nevada. Ultimately, through the negotiating process, we had secured $3 million for the city of Reno and the city of Sparks. And through those conversations and through our program, allow Monica to give you a little bit more background, but we were able to keep over 1,000 people housed with that money.
Wow. So joining us, special surprise guest, Monica from the Housing and Neighborhood Development, are the housing director, not the manager, housing director.
Yes.
Monica. Hello, Monica.
Hi, AJ.
So tell us a little bit about what your department did with these funds.
Historically, the Housing and Neighborhood Development Department has distributed rental assistance across the region for many, many years. During COVID, obviously there was a great need for it, and our funding increased, and so did our program. At that time, we expanded our program, and since then, we have distributed from $5 million to $2 million a year.
Wow.
So with the diminishing federal funds coming through that were related to COVID, we still had a very high need of families that needed assistance, but the dollars had been reduced. And just to put it into perspective, before COVID, our allocation that we got out to the community each year was about $600,000. So in like 1 year, we went from helping, I don't know, maybe about 300 people or households. And these are all individual households. Each year they're unique. They're not the same folks over and over. We have some protocols in place for that. But we went from about a few hundred families to a few thousand families.
Oh, wow.
And so as time has progressed since 2020, each year the funding has decreased a little bit, but the amount of families that are still in need has stayed pretty consistent.
Oh, wow.
With these funds, we were able to fill the gap to be able to assist the families that needed it. Had we not got these funds, we would have the available funding to revert back to helping approximately 300 households.
Right. Wow. That's a huge impact for citizens.
It's a huge impact. And with the funds that came in last session that Nic secured for us because he's so amazing, we were able to help about 1,200 to 1,000 families each year. We do combine that with some other funding sources. But like I said, had we not had those funds, we would have had to revert back to only having available funds for a few hundred unique families.
So, Monica, what would happen without this program?
Without this program, ultimately, people would eventually be evicted if they were unable to secure other resources to pay their past due rent. Unfortunately, the resources available at that time are one of our local homeless shelters or couch surfing or their car or possibly on the street.
And what happens to families with children if they're evicted and they don't have a place to go?
Families with children would go to our place, the family shelter, if there is room there. If there is not, then they're put on a list.
Yeah, so this program really is a safety net that kind of catches people who are struggling before they fall further into a system that's harder to get out of.
What else happened at the legislature that we should know about?
Sure. So another bill that had passed through, and that bill has also been signed, was Senate Bill 319. That was sponsored by Senator Daley, and that requires the city of Reno, the city of Sparks, and Washoe County to work together to tackle and look at what is the best way to provide fire services to our region. So we will have to get together as a working group and put together kind of a document between the three jurisdictions by December of next year and really look at the feasibility or the viability of various different options that might mean better fire service to our entire region.
Is there anything else that we may have missed that you feel residents should be aware of that might impact their day-to-day lives?
Yeah, I think there's been a large discussion about accessory dwelling units locally. This last session, they did pass a bill, Assembly Bill 396, and that bill will require the city of Reno, the city of Sparks, the city of Henderson, the city of Las Vegas, and the city of North Las Vegas to have an ADU ordinance. Of those cities, the city of Reno is the only one that does not currently have one in place. But thankfully, we're already on our path to do that. We had worked with the bill sponsor to really narrow and tailor kind of the requirements that they had put forward. One of the things that is included in that bill, again, it requires us to pass an ADU ordinance, but it says that we can require, if the community feels that it's appropriate, that ADU, accessory dwelling unit, has an extra parking space available. It also requires that we not prohibit kitchens be allowed in ADUs. So we'll continue through that process, but I think working with that bill sponsor, she very much understood that we're already having that conversation with our community. And so when we're talking about defense, I think that was a big win this legislative session.
I know there was a lot of bills. You said there was like 1,200?
1,200 bills.
That's a lot. Let's go over one more. What is SB 315?
Yeah, so SB 315, and I won't pretend to be an engineer, but this bill allows for NDOT to go into a progressive design build for I-80's expansion out to TRIC, the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. This will make it a lot easier for the teams to work together to kind of phase out the project and make it possible. I know that the expansion of I-80 has been a large topic over recent years, and oftentimes when we're talking about getting EMS personnel out there or public safety personnel out there, it can be quite a challenge. So I think that this additional power or authority for NDOT will make anyone that has to drive out to TRIC's lives a lot better once that project comes to fruition.
And none of our bills included a toll road, did it?
The city of Reno did not have any bills this session. So another bill that might be good to have on folks' radar, and I really like this bill for one reason in particular, and that's that oftentimes when people will hear about, and this is Assembly Bill 103 for background, but a lot of times when people hear about the Reno Housing Authority, unfortunately they think that it is the city of Reno. It is a separate agency. This bill requires that the city of Reno, the city of Sparks, and Washoe County work together to pass resolutions to officially create what would now be the Truckee Meadows Regional Housing Authority. In terms of scope of work of the Housing Authority, they already service the whole region. This would just clarify and add representation from the city of Sparks, Washoe County, and the city of Reno, and then one resident from the new Truckee Meadows Regional Housing Authority. But again, I think that name change will make it very clear whose job is what.
Oh, yeah.
And also will clarify that if you would like to contact the Housing Authority, please don't call the city of Reno.
Right. I think that's one of the things I always see online. People are like, well, it's your housing authority. I'm like, no, it's for everybody. It's for the whole region. It doesn't just affect just Reno. Nic, thank you so much for being on the agenda. Is there anything else that you feel residents should know about before we go? Because there was a lot of bills.
There were a lot of bills. It's really hard to condense everything, especially when we're following 500 bills.
Right.
I really appreciate the opportunity to go over some of the things that we had worked on this legislative session.
What's cocktails to go?
Great question. So during the pandemic, the city of Reno and many other cities throughout the state had allowed for cocktails to go. Basically, you go to a restaurant and you're like, I want a mixed drink. I want a margarita. And as long as it's a closed container, let's say, I know in other states, I can't say this for Nevada, but they'll just keep the straw on top. The paper
I'm
on top
familiar with those drive-through margarita places. You just pull up, you get your drink, and you keep going. As long as you don't pop the straw in the top,
Yep.
it's okay.
So Assembly
Amazing.
Bill 375 created a process for cities and counties to go about allowing for cocktails to go. It's not mandating. It'll be a conversation that the city council will have with the community. But the interesting thing about that bill, it also makes the pecan punch, a Basque drink, the state drink of the state of Nevada. So,
Now, they've been trying to do that for decades, right?
well, they finally won the fight.
Yeah. And I see how they paired it up with the ability to deliver alcohol.
Yes.
Before we go, we actually don't have anything else to highlight.
We do not have an agenda.
Okay.
We are on council break, which means we do not have another council meeting until July 23rd.
Okay, so July 23rd is when we come back. We will have another podcast before then. Maybe we'll just talk for our podcast, our next episode. Let's catch
Are
up.
we going to talk between now and July 23rd?
I hope so.
Are we going to do off the agenda?
We could.
We could do that.
Let's just do like a man on the street thing. We'll just walk around Reno and
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, let's
Checking
do
in
that.
with people.
Nic, you're coming with us.
That sounds like a blast.
As always, if you want to learn more about our meetings, you can check out reno.gov/meetings. And there you'll find info on staff reports, on presentations, on all kinds of things that you need to stay involved with your local government. So check that out, reno.gov/meetings.